you have a lot of questions about the coronavirus. We've seen them on our Facebook posts. So we asked Dr. Kristen England, an infectious disease specialist with the Cleveland Clinic, back to answer them. You just mentioned the last time you were here, you gave me a flu shot. And so it's all good.
And you've been healthy since then.
There were no
flu
problems whatsoever. I have not gotten the flu. But, you know, I think a lot of people right now are just kind of waiting and going, when's it coming for me? That's kind of the attitude a lot of people are taking. And we want to get to some of the questions that people on Facebook have posted to us. Tristan Sanchez asked, how do we know when we start having coronavirus? And is it different from other diseases?
So coronavirus is going to be very similar to other viral infections such as influenza. So it's important for people to have gotten their flu shot because then they'll have a less likelihood of having influenza. And then if they do get symptoms, we'll need to worry about them having coronavirus at that point in time. So typically you'll have a fever, you'll have a cough. As the virus is able to progress down into the lungs, it can cause a pneumonia, which can make people feel short of breath and have a more productive cough where they bring up more colored phlegm. So those are generally the indications that you've got something that needs to be evaluated.
And that pneumonia has been the thing that's the elderly population's having the big problem
Correct.
with. Okay.
Correct.
Tracy Felina Carlson asked if airborne or other vitamin C supplements help prevent it.
That's a good question.
So unfortunately not. There's no evidence that there's anything that we can do other than good hand hygiene, cough etiquette, all the things that we've talked about to try and prevent it. Also, there are no current treatments out there at this point in time. There has been some concerns that, unfortunately, some companies are trying to make some money during this time
out there.
Public concern and are advertising that they have a coronavirus treatment. That's not true. Don't believe those.
All right, very good. Next question comes from Gary Pennington. He wants to know how the coronavirus compares to SARS, MERS, H1N1 at the same stage of the outbreak.
Sure. So at about this stage, SARS and MERS were much less widespread. So they only affected about, so for SARS, it affected about 8 to 9,000 people, and 1 in 10 died from that virus. For MERS,
are these numbers U.S. or
worldwide?
Worldwide.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So for the SARS virus, there were about 3,000 cases and 1 in 10 died. So I'm sorry, 1 in 3 died. So they had a much higher rate with the MERS virus. When we look currently at our coronavirus, it is much more widespread. We have hundreds of thousands of cases and
taken
more
off like
to come.
wildfire.
And depending upon where you look, we're seeing much lower rates of fatalities or deaths with that.
I'm glad you went there because this is our final question. The mortality rate here in the U.S. as of now is at 0.28%. Worldwide, it's much higher, Doctor. It's over 3% from the latest figures. Is it just a matter of time before the U.S. numbers mirror the worldwide numbers, or will we not approach those kind of numbers here?
I don't think we're going to get anywhere near those numbers. When we look at, say, what was happening in China, when people were coming in very ill, that was when they were getting tested.
Right.
So,
and by that point, it's too late.
Exactly. So people were coming in very, very sick, and they were trying to figure out how to save these people, and they didn't know what they were fighting. So it was a much more difficult. They were testing less people. So now that we're going to be able to test a lot more people, frankly, our fatality rate or our death rate should go down.
Okay.
So if you had a chance to hold somebody's hand and tell them something about the coronavirus for the next month here in Cleveland, what would you tell them?
I'm going to tell people to not panic. Let's just be smart. Be smart about the things that you're doing. When you go out in public, I've stopped shaking hands. I've stopped hugging my patients, but explaining to them that it's really important. I'm trying to protect them.
Very good.
If you're not feeling well, stay at home. And if you're not feeling well, call your doctor's office first. Don't just show up at the clinic.
Very good.
Thank you very much,
Absolutely.
Dr. Kristen England. Appreciate it very much.
Great information.
Thank you very much.
Definitely.
Thank you.